So hello, everyone. My name is Connie Hales, and it's great to be back with you all, even at this weird distance. It's a special joy and an honor to introduce Javier Lopez and his wonderful poems to you tonight. Javier came to our MFA program from Chico State, where he was editor of the Watershed Review as an undergrad. And we're all very happy that he chose to join us in Fresno and become a Fresno poet. Javi quickly became a central part of our community, working on the staff at the Normal School, serving 2 years as staff and student editor for the Philip Levine Prize, where I will tell you he was absolutely indispensable, and joining up with the Laureate Lab team to create new and innovative ways of making art and poetry magic. I can tell you also that Javi is one of the hardest working poets I've ever worked with, often staying up all night after a long shift at his day job to work out a nagging problem with a poem or to follow the path of a new inspiration. I remember waking up to early morning emails many times to be greeted by a new draft of an old poem or a first draft of a new poem. What a delightful gift to wake up to. Honestly, Javi never lets up. He works on the poems through good times and hard times and deep personal losses, and his work just gets better and better. His poetry was recognized for its excellence a couple of years ago when he was awarded the Andres Montoya Scholarship, and his thesis manuscript continues to amaze and surprise me every time I read it. When I reread Faultlines this week, I was struck by how relevant it is, how directly it speaks to the place and time we are currently living through. It's a book about separations and splits, fractures and rifts, the longing for connection or reconnection in a place defined by a tearing apart. It speaks about drought and thirst, about damaged relationships with the natural world and about our damaged relationship with the natural world and our damaged relationships with one another. As these poems bring us close to the speaker's deeply felt personal losses, they also bring us close to our own losses, and they search for ways to bridge the distances, to restitch the rifts. In summer, there is nothing but heat when poem begins. Dryness will ask for a drink. God will answer with flood. Dryness will ask for breath. The answer is whirlwind. Another tells us, the orchards of the almond are not in bloom power. The glow of dew isn't on rock or tree. At the 2-inch seams of the trunks, moss has given up. Awaken us from our slumber, the speaker calls out. Give us bloom. The poems in this manuscript are visually conceptual. In some ways, they could be called intellectual, and yet they are as grounded in the physical world as this. The silent hymns from hanging chimes on distant porches. The humming bugs sound like sonar times 100 decibels. This time it looks like the season wants to be summer, given amounts of orange in the sky. Part prayer, part mural, part private, part public. This is finally a book of deep longing. And what it longs for is a personal and maybe even a cosmic mending. It's an astounding collection of poems. It will open your eyes and it will break your heart. Please welcome the poet, Javier Lopez.
Can I get a second from that? Thank you, everyone. First off, thank you for being here, for supporting the program, supporting the poets and everyone involved. I especially just want to thank Jefferson for putting this all together. Him and his team just have been incredible. If it wouldn't have been for Jefferson or Kirk, I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for them too. I want to thank everyone in the program that has helped me along these last few rough years, I think I would say. Names like Ronald, Connie, Bryn, Maider, Anthony, Cody, Mariah, the entire team at the Laureate Lab, everyone in Qua, the list goes on. So I think I'm gonna jump directly actually into my thesis, because in my thesis, fault lines, we were asked to write an abstract that kind of explains or touches on points about what the thesis is. It's kind of like a selling point. Imagine if you're trying to sell a book, or you're trying to sell a pitch for a movie or a song, right? It's the idea of the artist wrangling up something that is meant to be something, or is meant to be a detailer of what you're about to read. So for my abstract, I went a little deeper and just wrote a poem. And in the actual poem, my acknowledgments are kind of listly at the end. So I think I'll just go ahead and read from that and then begin my reading. Oh yeah, also, I'm gonna be sharing my screen with you guys. So as I read, you guys can see the poems on the side. So if you guys would like to go to gallery so I can see all of y'all faces too, you guys are welcome to. You don't have to, but it's your choice. But you're gonna be able to see my screen. Okay, is that clear for everyone? I can't really see the chat right now. I don't know. Is that good? Yeah.
Javier, you're good.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to the acknowledgements then. There we go. I want to keep them over here. When I see every time I look back at those pictures, it's almost as if it's a keen reminder as to the things that I do and the things that I want to create, and the things, like just goals in general, just seeing their young faces on the right side, and then seeing them so small, when they were kids, and up top, that's my great grandmother who passed away a few years back. She lived to be over 90, 91. So yeah, I would love for them to be with me as I read these poems with you guys. So this is my abstract to fault lines. And I'll just go ahead and read it. Fault lines to me is and has always been a culmination of my time hard spent here at Fresno State Masters of Fine Arts program. It has been utmost forward moving while also inward and outward devouring, which is what fault lines does best. It tears at the seams in the beginning, middle, and as it ends, the reader should feel stitched right back up, but only just that, stitched up, without pharmaceutical help. They should feel raw, like an open wound lightly closed. I have turned into someone that has fallen in love of not talking about my poems as actual things that need explaining, but as things that just need to be experienced, read by themselves. The single poem, the single rendition, the single thing in existence. I am here for the conversations that happen after, but my work stays where they are. In the fields they are supposed to be in, because These poems are not poems to me, they are experiences, they are memories, they are drugs, they are collapse, they are ancestral hands reaching, they are sword-bearing fists, they are offerings, they are unopened letters, they are postcards going nowhere. They are lost in the void of understanding, they are unheard, they are seeds, they are trees, they are mountains, they are rain, but then they are fire, rage, burning, loud, quiet, depressive, alone, lost, down and out, and rebuilt again. These poems are not poems to me. They are my body, they are my mind, they are my demons, they are my other selves, they are other voices, they are me. They are fault lines of fault. As if of the earth we so trek of fault, as if of the responsibility of actions coming to light of fault, as if of the mistakes so lived, because no one is perfect of fault, as if of the displacement of body, mind, soul, lost in space and time, these XYZ coordinates and lines, well, I think that speaks in and of itself. Fault lines is a forcing of destruction, but then a creation of place that wasn't there before. Fault lines is a breaking of bones and burial 6 feet deep as a lily forms above soil months later. Fault lines is a crashing of colors, a crashing of nature and body, a crashing of ancestral and now, a crashing of artistic viewpoint, a crashing of familial correspondence, a crashing of ever gone feeling, a crashing of burns on flesh, a crashing of love, of dedication, of need, of want, of connection, mindfulness of lost aim, of found downscope, of eternity, desire, of absolute rawness in the face of everything that has happened or is going to happen. For all there is, just is, and nothing is ever gone, forever sprinting, newfound existence of colors, voices, body. This is fault lines, here and now. To my Sutter loves, my Wheatland loves, my Orville loves, my Chico loves, my Fresno loves, my Walmart loves, my Winco loves, my Cinemark loves, my Qua loves, my Law Lab, my Watershed, my Levine Prize, my normal school, and to those who stayed around during my trajectory through the gulags. This thesis in its form would not be if it weren't for you all. I send my love through art of which I have given myself permission to finally enter into. Here's to us. It is time to fly, abuela. So yeah, uh, that was the abstract of that, and it that one tore me a new one for like a couple weeks, I think. That one did a lot of damage, and so I think I'll just kind of run through this, just kind of showcase a little bit since it's technically a showcase. I would love so if anyone has recognized this poem, sorry, tonight I'm not going to be reading it. We've heard it a few times. It's gone through the works, but yeah, it's there. It's doing some things, but I'm just going to jump over. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. This was the just the note that I had before my so I had an opening poem and then a note and then a opening section to a first poem, and this is what comes before this the first poem. So it says, or from the first section, for abuela, I will uphold what you set down. So I'm just going to go through kind of the sections actually, and then I'll jump right into my poems here. There we go. So the contents for here. So my sections were entitled Missing Marigold. Those poems do a lot of work with identity, a lot of mental, a lot of outward reaching there, a lot of screaming, a lot of stuff. You'll be hearing a few poems. You'll be hearing a couple poems from there. I was just going to showcase section 2, error 3168. That's more of a art hybrid poetry, kind of more contextual digital art-ish kind of poetry. It's more the poems that I saw that couldn't fit on a natural page, and somehow I needed to warp my space to make whatever experience I was having at the time jump into the poem or into that space. Or so yeah, that's what section 2 is all about. And the poem that comes before it is pretty nuts. And the homie here, that's Anthony Cody right there. Just a shout out. And then Junction 36, that goes before my last section, which is primarily what Connie was talking about with family, relationship, friendship, life, love, liberty, success. Failure. It goes over. There's a plethora. You're gonna hear plenty poems from there, and the longer one, which I'm actually going to read tonight, is that I would rather not, but that's actually been changed already, and I'll get into that before I read it. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Junction was the long poem that I had written about when I was asked by the family to go to Arizona to pick up my grandmother, who was staying with her mother at a rest home. I think I wasn't too sure how many like weeks to months she was given, but I know when my grandmother was quote unquote visiting, she was doing a lot, like what a daughter should do with her mother who's so frail, and she can barely speak, but she can recognize you and she wants to talk to you. And so she helped fight, and she helped feed her and just bathe her and kind of just that compassion, that love, and it pushed her to give my great grandmother a longer bout at life. And when the family saw that the time was coming, I seem to have been available at the time and willing. Of course, I would be willing. Grandmother, I mean, that's a given. So I had to go and get her, and say goodbyes that were unexpected and quick and life-changing for me. And that's what that poem has done a lot of work. Not really feeling too grand about reading it. I've read it before a couple times, but I wanted to focus primarily on these last few poems. So, okay. I'll jump back to my chart. There we go. Okay. Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm trying to find my spot. Okay, here we go. So the first poem I'm going to be reading, sorry. I need a napkin. Okay, so the first poem I'm going to be opening with is a poem that has quite literally traveled with me since my community college days. And it felt most at home when I would say I'd say post February, right after, what was it, the Natalie Diaz reading Fresno State, where this one hit home. It's entitled after Gregory Pardlow, who wrote a poem. I think it's called "Written by Himself," actually. That does a lot of repetitive. I was born in the West, but he does it. He does it so well that it just interweaves. It's like little tiny snakes just running, and once he gets down to like here at this point, there's always like this hook, and I wasn't quite sure if I could run it. So it's kind of a poem after a poem, but not necessarily not necessarily a poem after a poem. So it's kind of long, but bear with me. I tend to read quite quick, as you saw from the opening abstract. So after Gregory Pardlow. Oh yeah, actually, can you guys read that? Or do you guys are good, right? Okay, cool. After Gregory Pardlow. I was born in the West. I was born before the building of my birth. There was only shaking tree herds. I was born to them in something of a light summer breeze. I was born to a cactus in summer, carrying cold water in its veins. I was born into grain etching through my DNA. I was born to heifer skin by making. I was born to dirt roads awaiting cement. I was born to a shoe cobbler's town, housing and not about 2,000 or so voices screaming into a fielding existence, the loving existence. I was born a mouth like grenade into war. I was born into war just like any other infant born into shared ages, our shared ages. I was born into them just like any other child born into shared ages. I was born into them, bursting into new forms of sacred, of plethora, of charisma, of love and screaming, of love and silent whisper. I was born a snitch and stitch because I fucking care with all my limbs. I was born a carer. I was born a feeler. I was born without a radius keeping me from bodies. I was born without sun rays. Without sun rays, I was born into sun. Sun created me. I was born into this sun, a light of my old me playing volleyball in some Mexican desert. I was born in my grandmother's body. That is only science telling me to listen. I was born to listen. I was born to listen. I was born from the ground. The ground will refill with this long shed destruction. Just give me time. I was born into a time halting from me. Only for a moment I was born my own. I was born into these mountains of the Sutter Buttes, into these mountains of any reach. I was born to a mother who's long had her prime in this sunlight. Not you, Kathy, I love you, but the mom. I was born a last resort. I took it upon myself to make sure I was born into ripped sneakers, into pants worn by my uncles, into socks worn by my grandfather, into coffee cups laced with beans from before my grandparents' age, into a painting of Jesus, his lips turning white from all the times we kissed his lips in the morning. I took it upon myself to make sure I was born into my father's shoes, into my father's habitual chewing of nail, into my mother. I was born into my mother singing the cranberries. I was born into my mother as she sits and awaits my return. I was born to my own making. I was born, my dear. I was born. Give me time. I was born, and you shall see me. I will rebuild all of you as I will be reborn again and again. I will be born because I was born. 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 I was. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna take off the video and mute real quick. I'm gonna go blow my nose. Sorry. Give me one moment.
Thank you, folks. We're going to give Javi just one moment. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Can everyone hear me? Cool. All right. All right. This is also a very early program poem, actually. That's kind of it's just another one of those damn poems that make their way around every so often, every few months, where it just hits you again and again and again and again. And this one it's sitting well right now, and I think its placement in the actual thesis is it sings a lot. It's also two parts, actually. So this is the first part, and you're going to hear the second part somewhere later on. Callousing soul, an offer for Nana. This is Nana right here. And then, yeah, this is her mom. No vale nada la vida, or no vale nada la vida no vale nada. Jose Jimenez. I've always liked how he sang it that way. It's really hard to find that video. Jose Jimenez, oh my gosh, he was more than a happy drunk. He was a living drunk, but he was amazing at singing. Practically the ranchero king at the time. Sorry, I'm going off track. Callousing soul, an offer for Nana. Claro, José, que la vida no vale nada, pero las montañas todavía respiran aquí en el valle. And if you listen long enough, you can hear incantations of her voice rumbling in warm wind, breezing norte de Mexico de Sonora. She knee steps up 150 paved steps into the mountainside of all that was created on her knees, with a cloth and a smile like Mother Teresa, a cheekbone like Mother Teresa, an open heart like Mother Teresa, her rose face like Mother Teresa. Hard at work, this is work unimaginable. This is work like Mother Teresa, keeping her mouth, throat relaxed. The voice isn't needed at this altitude, only the limbs and a will to survive. To reach the top of the hill means you deserve to kiss the feet of Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe, painted on the mountainside. Her grandson, that's me, waiting behind her, watching over her like an adolescent Jesus, following his mother to the end of the line, too young to understand why a burning of flesh is a path towards discovery, towards achieving light inside body for lifetimes to come. Yeah, that's I was inspired at least a lot, I think early on, very much early on Andres Montoya. The short line is just absolutely killer. I just could not not write like that, or try to at least like get a word on a line like that. That just takes so much. And then you see, and then when I was progressing through the program, and that's the thing about the MFA program that's so beneficial. I think that people quite underlook in the productivity of the MFA program. If you take advantage of it, that's the big thing, I think. Is, in the basement, rightfully so, is all the poetry, right? And that, I mean, I don't know how many hours I would spend on there just reading stuff that even I didn't think I could discover, and he was one of those poets alongside many others, Gary Soto, so many other writers of the Valley. I mean, I could get there's an entire list that I think I can run down. And in that spirit, I think I'm actually going to read the poem Connie so lovingly read a portion of. I think this is it. Subtleties. Yeah, I think, yeah, okay. Here, so I can see that a little bit clearer. That's okay. I'll put it down here then. There you go. So yeah, this poem actually. So I was reading a lot of Paul Celan super early on. I don't know why. German poets. If I went back to English poets because God knows I took a lot of English lit as an undergrad. Went back. Latinx, Chicana X studies. I went in so many different angles. But at the time, I had submitted this poem to the Andres Montoya Scholarship, and I was very fortunate to accept that, and take that honor. So yeah, I'm going to read this poem in honor of Andres Montoya family. I will forever be in your debt. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. Y Maceo, gracias. Thank you for helping look over the land of Knight's Landing. That's a route and a love that I've cherished for so many years. That old bridge, and I think that old bridge is going to collapse one day, but gosh, it looks like it's just built from old train lines or something. It's just so stable, amazing. But as my note says, I got woodland and you setter. I can promise you that with my life. We can just be one big area. We can just hug each other forever. So yeah, I'll just read this poem. And this is also a poem that was super early. Like it was like year one, I think, this one. And I still sometimes hate it. It's funny, I think I cut it off. I did. Okay, cool. That's fine though. You read, "The invisible one commands the wind to stay in bounds." I think actually, before I read this poem, this poem was kind of written a few weeks after first moving to Fresno. And it's funny, I still work on this poem even today. But yeah, I'm a fan of those nights where you can walk onto the porch and hear absolutely nothing. Silence, just absolute oxygen mixed with wind. No screaming cars along interstate side, no chirping blue jays and pines. While somewhere a rowdy distant anthill blooms flowers, its broken petals carried by the leader and his army, a sea of red ants. While somewhere colder, a sound of a half-lit fire crackling logs hovers in this invited breeze, crackling, crackling, crackling. Stars above, palindroming with their sister star rocks, this galaxy wave moving at speeds of light. They're running so fast. Finally, I can see them hovering silently in my invited nighttime skyline. One runs, the others are mute. Are you noticing these subtleties of life? Car cools and begins to freeze. Barbecue scorches and begins to darken. Vent smokes and begins to breathe. Branch fractures and begins to grow again. To remind me a circle can give way to something nesting epicentrally. To remind me each petal can harness light. An ant can gift others awaiting epicentrally. I must be an ant too, running amok. Look at me lacking tonight in this quiet constant sea. like right towards the end of that poem, it's just like, wait, what the hell am I doing? And then I just like become part of, or I don't know, it just naturally I see the speaker after this poem ends just kind of like rush out as like kind of like light or some kind of light that runs. But yeah, thank you again, Montoya family. Much love, which I'm wood. Stay safe over these tough times right now.
Javier, this is Jefferson. I don't mean to
Yeah.
cut it. I just want to give you a cue, just one or two poems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'll just go for the I guess I'll just go for the big one to end it. This is gonna be quite a long one, so I might take a couple minutes. Okay. So, let me see if I can move this. So here's the original photo, actually. All their beautiful faces. Yeah, so that's them. Uncle, dad, aunt, grandpa, grandmother. So here it goes. These poems for me are never ending. These poems I think are going to change every, I would say, 4 to 7 years. I think like if this were to be book one, this would be part one, or part one, part two, this it's just going to continuously run. So yeah, here we go. And this is what I came to say, or as it used to be, I would rather not have my family in your poetry, son. So to me, at one point, these letters were not necessarily letters. They were just kind of moments that needed to find a place to live. So some of these are experiences. Some of these are like phone calls. Some of these will be just kind of stories. So that it starts out with the first poem. 1, Dad. How about we call this new land together? You are proud, I get it. You do know who you are talking to, right? Let me rephrase. You do know how the mountainsides talk to trees. Call me unqualified to be an accountant just because I didn't travel across a border to find life. That I can thank you for. And all along here we are at odds. It must be the low-level iron in our blood. Yes, our blood. Misaligned oak, undercharred wonder of lifeless breathing, misdevoted sons of birches cursed by knowledge of demons hunting our aunts and uncles' heir, and I am okay with that. And if you're not, I am okay with it. And I'm still here. Even if you want to die alone, yes, you remind me almost every time we get a chance to talk about time, and it ends with you dying alone. And I am still here. Eradicated brown skin, and I am still here, embraced by the dead of my ancestors. And I am still here in this tired but still moving maintain of a broken tongued body mirroring you. And I am still here talking along the underscore of Nana's brown charred spoon. And I am still here talking along broken singing lungs of Tata's chapped lips. And I am still here talking as I light this cast iron on the stove of my upstairs apartment without a balcony. And I am still talking to turn masa and oil and salt and pepper and love and love and love and love and love into love. I was inspired by that, so I had to find a way to get that. I love that poem. It's in Kwa. You guys got to find it. And do you know why? Well, for one, I am your son. You just couldn't see it when you said those words. Let me set the record about as flat panned as I can get it to burn into place, just as the one who taught me to get the tortillas perfect for dinner. Or Tata would be angry. Take a guess at who that was, Pops. Take a guess at who that was. Who was the one who gave me my real broken tongue all these years? You taught wisdom to your students at work while your son struggled to speak to his grandparents. Well, Dad, I learned not by phonetic practice nor forced in your classroom, No, but by cast iron, the wisdom of cast iron finger lace char onto skin like a child warrior of flame. Sí, ponle un poquito más de masa porque necesita. Levanto con el sol de fuego de tiempo que no vivo yo, Dad. Yo vivo yo, Dad. Yo vivo, Dad. I am alive. Two, Tia. This is Tia right here. Love you, Tia. I love you. Sorry. I love you. A part of me still believes we are the same body and body sphere, our souls talking, singing, like they own half the universe just because we always believe. And ain't that something, Aunt Thea? Pretty sure that one right there used to sting after hearing it for about an hour's length as you're trying to enjoy your coffee in peace. You joke at the idea as to why I was my dad's son and not yours. And I know you mean it, but don't really mean it, or at least that is what I believe. Yes, I'm going to get the chip and you're going to eat it. My shoulders sometimes feel heavy, don't they? How would I know it always feels normal under this slice blade skin? Not out of hate, my loves, just from work, my wrists and fingers covered and have been questioned, but I am one for confirmation, never have, never will. You see where you take me, my mind, just a boundary to be bruised, but heard one way or the other. Remind you of someone? I recount the separate occasions you told me to underdo my poetic line so that you can understand them in due time. That or a bottle of Bogle to speed things up. Let me dumb down my tongue as if I need to dumb down my tongue, anyways, lending myself back to a family who doesn't quite understand my brokenness anyway. Maybe, yeah, they were broken for us. All along, maybe we were the ones carrying all the weight. Like shots of tequila and shaded silence, yes, Thea, I've seen you at your weakest. You were still about as tender as the carne asada put on the fucking grill. It just takes some time to get you there. And no one will tell you this, but I hate seeing you like that, as Uncle Bab calmly renounced himself at the section of the couch because he loves being with family, unlike his brothers-in-law, either in Vegas or Vegas in some other casino that feels like Vegas, getting smashed face to discombobulate their miseries into fantasy laughter. Their wives, I'm not going to laugh, either let them drink themselves into oblivion as a way of helping or to bury them. But what really is the difference? I know it, and it is this. We both know the importance of us and how we define us to others, dancing around us together, us here, us there, us wherever we are, us among us, and the other us, a broken us alongside us is of the future that we dream about. Let them become something. We are not right now, they are right. Let them be our future. Let them cover the ground game. Focus on the sky. I'll be the ram, you be the niner. Warriors meet at California. No matter the bull thrown into our lives, we show up and party. Dia. Thank you. All right, so this is Theo. This is this guy right here. Pretty sure he's the youngest. Three, Theo. Your poem starts with a pine cone. The pine cone in a small jewelry box latex with pennies, some of them glued to the bottom or the sides, and the pine cone freely dances in the middle alongside some crusty folded bills, either a 20 or 100, depending on the severity of the year. And I wouldn't know about that, nor would question the validity of it, as I would gladly accept anything you would give me or teach me in this life, either at Christmas time when you would give me this present when you're absolutely plastered in your own home, because that is the number one rule I learned from you after all these years, to have a good time no matter what brings you down, because in this life there is only, as you would say, a party in the cemetery or not. Party in the cemetery or not, because in the end you're going, you're gonna end up there anyways. I can't tell you why the memory of a pine cone inside a jewelry box is something I will always remember about your heart, Maybe it was because the choice you made in putting the pine cone where it needed to be. Maybe you deliberately put the pennies first or meticulously glued some to the sides because of your perfectionism passed on into my blood. Or maybe you're secretly a poet, artist, singer, songwriter, wrestler, teacher, guider, leader, coach, gambler, carer. No matter what, you are a stone in my book, my pockets. A piece of that pine cone sits along the lint and labor of the day's work when I remember to carry it with me. Wherever I go with a little fun accompanies little work first. The little work must become visible upon imagination, but first the work, but first the work, but first the work. Whistle, dead, deal, relax. Okay. Oh no. Okay, bear with me at this one. This is gonna be a it's gonna be a hard read. It's gonna be a really hard read, y'all. Okay. Nino, I found myself in you. If you're hearing, you know, I love you. If not, if you hear about this, I love you. I found myself in you. You may not know this, but I found myself in you. Not the self when I was young me, but the self breathe thriving right now, but the self drown learning right now, but the self up against the high tide right now, but the self leaving myself in the keyhole right now, but the self dressing myself in shiny pants right now, inside joke, but the self dressing myself and heading to work right now, but the self dressing in all black because no one can tell if my body is laboring right now, but the self coming home and forgetting he had the day off right now, but the self writing an ode to something you shouldn't probably write an ode to right now, but the self writing an ode to the way my love is starting to spread right now, but the self writing an ode to what it feels to wear sleep rays right now, but the self painting behind closed eyes right now, but the self chiseling linoleum blocks right now, but the self chiseling the self right now, but the self chiseling the self right now, but the self chiseling the self continuing back from 4-hour nap right now, but the self shaving like caterpillar beard for the first time right now, but the self learning to play one song and only one song on the guitar right now, but the self learning what adults do as they watch their uncle cry right now, but the self singing alone in the car right now, but the self smoking a Camel Strong right now, but the self smoking a Camel Strong this time hair metal is playing right now, but the self smoking a Camel Strong this time the open balcony is my friend right now, but the self crying at 2 a.m. on a porch because someone broke my heart right now, but the self crying at 2 oh, I'm sorry, did I read that? Oh, did I? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But the self with the dirty crusted toilet and shower right now, sorry. But the self looking in the mirror right now and doing his hair right now. But the self yelling at himself in the mirror right now. But the self crying outside when the sun is coming down right now. But the self crying again outside this time. It is morning. It's time to go right now. But the self this time, but the self this time, but the self this time right now. Where in the hell have you been? I've been living. I've been calling, Nino. Tata. ¿Aló? ¿Cómo está mi tata? ¿Cómo amaneció? ¿Bien? Oh, gracias a Dios, mi tata. Gracias a Dios, gracias a Dios. ¿Y cómo estás? ¿Estás bien? Sí. Ah, qué bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno. ¿Qué está haciendo? Nada. Ah, ándale, qué típico. Oye, tata, ya digo que mi papá, que usted tiene un appointment del doctor. ¿Cuál doctor? Oh, por el ojo. ¿Y cómo fue? Bien, bien, gracias a Dios. ¿Estás bien? ¿Estás en buena salud, mi señor? ¿Estás soñando con sus dientes brillantes? Yeah, sorry. That has to go there. Ándale, qué bueno. Yo, pues aquí nomás trabajando todos los días. Y si todos los días aquí en el Winco. Sí, estoy bien en el Winco. Pagan muy bien. Sí, ya no sé, 40, 50 horas por semana. Yo creo misma que usted, joven allá en el campo, no con tu arroz y manzanas, cayotes y todos los otros. ¿Qué trabajan otra vez o no? No. Qué tanta comida. Por día, por día, por día, por día. I know, of course. Ay, ¿qué dice? ¿Eh? ¿Eh? Otra vez. Hey, tata. Hey, 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 tata, adiós. Where's mi tata? Ok. ¿Dónde fui? Hey, ¿dónde fui? Oh, el baño. Oye, qué madre. Ándale, pues. Que te vaya bien con mucho salud y mucho amor. ¿Qué? No se trata, una otra semana yo creo. Tiene mucho trabajo con la escuela y trabajo dando después, tata. Ok. I love you. Mucho amor. Te amo mucho. Cuidado. Ponle tu máscara que saca el caso, ok. Ajá. Love you, tata. Love you. Love you. Bye. So I hung up. On my tata because I love his antics and I love his being and I love it's just his fucking style. And I forgot it was his damn birthday. So I called him back. I was like, hey tata, hello, hey tata, lo siento. Feliz cumpleaños, old man. Un otro año, eh? Hey, ¿cuánto tienes? 21, eh? Ándale, tata. Love you. Hey, mucho amor. Adiós. Adiós, tata. Yeah, and that had to that had to find its way somehow in there. That's a typical conversation I'd have with my grandpa, mostly over the phone. But yeah. So here's the long one. So I'm almost there, Jefferson. Just how many pages? I got 1, 2, 4 pages. I'm almost there. Nana. Oh, how many stories I have in my head, the ones you have cherished for so many years. Like the one about the general hate of my beard for so many more years since I've been old because you said it gives me years I don't need on my face. And for the life of me, I could not seem to understand what that meant when I first heard it come from your holy mouth, your teeth as white as this picture, still that heavenly smile, that menacing smile, the all-knowing smile, as if it were a mask and we are your solely subjects in the crowd. Along the Madrone Street backyard where an old basketball hoop sits among a plethora of trees of fruit, and many fruits of trees, the cherry, the blossoming grapefruit, walnut, naranja, cilantro, jalapeno, grape, cacti, lemon, limon that aren't quite lemon, so you would pick them anyway and stir it in el caldo. Guess she cooked every single day for years and years when my dad couldn't because he was working to keep the house above my head and my brother. And Tata wasn't nearly home yet from driving white tractors through brown fields while getting paid minimum green to keep you in the house we are in, right next door to mine. So back home, it's my parents, my grandparents, and my uncle, and a line. And my house and my grandparents' line are connected, kind of in the backyard. There's like an opening. Right next door to mine, a chain link fence between us, a 5-foot gap of air between it, so that we may travel from house to house whenever the time allowed us, or whenever we were hungry, or whenever we felt alone, or whenever we wanted to see you, see us, while seeing us collect all this wealth that you didn't have growing up. You know, it took me a long time to understand why you had kept all those things over the years and years and years of being in the same house with the same white tile, the interlockings so brown now, while before they were white. And I can see that time has allowed for such depth and dirt, and Clorox bleach only works for some time, but that dark color still remains. And I can take that in and say, wow, the American dream could bring you here and try and change you, but Clorox only lasts so long, and those interlockings still change back to the color of Tata's skin, not yours, because you are of the purest of Mexico, which is not a slight and is only of history. What became of your hometown, home country, home breath, darker colors, darker, deeper air like pus. You'd scrape your knees when you played volleyball in dirt, while your siblings sat along the edges playing with rocks and sticks and fallen corn pieces. God only knew that Tata's family would one day head north to Sonora from Mexico City, and you'd see him in his young form, and he'd see you and yours, and the rest would fall away, and nothing else would matter but you and the way you would change him forever. Even now, along the yard, sharing a porch together, on looking so many California sunsets, thinking there were ones you'd used to see when you were both kids, haven't yet met in some country that just isn't helping your bones enough, because the sun there would burn everything you ever owned to a crisp. And yes, Nana, I can say that I understand now that you would keep everything you had ever have owned, or even had slight possession of. Call it hoarders, the Chicana X edition. America, no, I call it Mexican grandmother building a library without books and without quietness and without hidden guilt, so that her kids can see where she has been, and 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 never question the validity of what wealth those items give to a family that grew up to be a part, to a family that grew up to only be a part, to a family that grew up to only be a part, to a family that grew up to only be a part, to a family that grew up to be a part of something we would have to learn and learn for years to come. Where we have been and where we are going, the closet, chest, where we have ran and where we have run, and where we have hidden from bullies, and where we have walked from teachers telling us to speak English, and where we have nicked and nudged and bled and wept and cheered and laughed, are shared coincidences in life that are, and we have seen the love our lives, and where, and we have been kicked in the face, and where we have seen the curvature of the moon for the first time, and where we were lashed as young ones, and where we made the mistakes as kids will and bleed, and where we choose to take our glasses off and try our hardest to see, where we have to get a workout in, the ellipticals, and where we have to punch a bag a bit, the boxing gloves, and where we had to learn how to barrel roll, the old mattresses, and where we have to tighten up a bolt, the toolboxes, and where we have to find where we are going, the old maps, and where we have to find where we're going, where we have to find where we're going, the old maps, and where we have to find where we're going, the old maps, and where we have to find where we're going, the old maps, because the new ones are misguiding, to say the least. And your kids would have you believe, Nana, that you have a problem, but I am here to say thank you. For food, for wealth, for love, for life, for stature, for Spanish, for fun, for health, for air, for breath, for comfort, for warmth, for water, for knowledge, for history, for family, for courage, for strength, for voice, for patience, for anger, for faith, for care, for home, for home, for home, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, Nana. And the last portion of this poem actually, I focus on the flash when I took it. I don't know, man. Fucking poets. I have always found it excruciatingly beautiful, and yet most undeniably poetic, that the flash upon the photo covers not only a part of your heart, Nana, but as it would seem, the near epicenter is a shimmer over your rosary. She's wearing a rosary. You can't, I mean, you can kind of see it run. But yeah. Okay, so the last poem. This actually this actually ends my thesis. This is the last poem in the thesis, and this is the second part of the first part of the poem that we heard earlier. Callousing Soul. Final offering. Aquí está, Nana, mis brazos, mis manos, en el piso, y mi corazón está rompido en mil pedazos. I stole that from Los Temerarios, but you know, it's still beautiful. Lyrics, what can I say? I cry, let me kneel here at your feet, mi gran señora, and let me kiss bruises, giving you pain. Let me trek this staircase for you. Show me the mapscape and where to drag leg so that I may travel the same route you did. Let me light a candle next to a rosary you left behind and sit atop your lap, your mountain, and feel a breath of air. Your lips spoke of a simpler time, a story about summer heat levitating like an old ghost, lifting from old chalk paintings of a sun and body like my own massed in front of pink clouds from cement into cool blank air. I let my knees grow stronger and stronger with every brush and scrape against pavement. I make the ground look vibrant. Guadalupe. I am Guadalupe. Look at me go. I am Guadalupe, Nana. Look at me go. Look at me go. Look over me, abuela. Look over me, tío. Witness me, Nana. The offering of my colors. Thank you, everyone. It's been a true blessing to be given the chance to read some things that have been very, very tough. So I very much appreciate it. Huge shout out to all my homies. I love you guys. Kirk, badass bro. Good job. I love you. I love all you guys. I love everybody that came. Someone take a screenshot. I love you guys.